Hey guys, Bart here with Tully Television, and today we're going to be getting into the Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 7 of, like I said, the recent iteration of The Mandalorian. But before we get into all that, I want to thank you, yes, you watching right now, I want to thank you for stopping by, liking, commenting, sharing. I hope that today is the day that I earn that subscription if you have yet to subscribe. If not, you hit that red subscribe bar down below. If you like what you see, you hit that bell notification so you never miss an episode of Tully Television. But without further ado, let's get into it, because only together can we go straight to the moon, baby. The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 7, entitled The Spies. And I will say that things are definitely coming together a little bit more for this season. This was an episode that definitely felt like it had real stakes in it. And I'm definitely going to mention spoilers for this episode, that I'm going to mention spoilers. So if you don't want to know yet what happened in the episode, now is your time to vamoose. I don't normally care if I mention spoilers, but being what happened near the end, I kind of at least want to give a little heads up. So you have 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 more seconds before I start talking about spoilers. 2, 1. Alright, spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead. Written by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Alright, review's over. That was the spoiler. Pedro Pascal as Din, Katie Stackhoff as Bo-Katan, Katie O'Brien as Kane, Giancarlo Esposito, one of the GOATs, as Moff Gideon, Carl Weathers as Grief Karga, Simon Cassandayas as Axe-Woves, Mercedes Varnado as Casca Reeves, Emily Swallows as the Armorer, Tate Fletcher as Paz Vizsla. Star-studded cast for this episode, baby. They all coming together now. We start off with the fleet that Bo-Katan and Din Djarin was bringing back to Navarro to join with the other Mandalorians that are there. Initially, Grief Karga, right, his droid was thinking like the Empire's back and everything, and for those that weren't watching it, this was basically a catch-up of, oh look at it's the Mando symbol, it's the Mandalorians, we're good, it's Din trying to bring his people together and what have you, with them helping out Navarro in recent weeks. Of course, when all the Mandalorians of the Night Watch and the Night Owls and all this stuff, Death Watch and Night Owls, one group has always, stood by the way of not revealing their face to others. Don't really think that that's a problem. So these are going to be issues that these tribes, these factions are going to deal with. But the Armorer steps in and wants to have a feast for both tribes. And in the meantime, we see Din and Grogu speaking to Grief Karga about IG-11. And what what those little mechanics did was they stripped him down completely and renamed him IG-12. And now it's just basically like a big mecha weapon for little Grogu. Think about how in Voltron, or I guess Pacific Rim, if for those of you in a more current awareness of stuff, basically they made it where Grogu can go into IG-12 now and pilot it as a vehicle. And also, it's able to have him say yes or no depending on what button he presses. So the whole gimmick at first was Mando like, no, he's too young for this. We got to get him out of here. And Grogu's like, no. Like, he keeps pressing no. And Grief Karga's like, but, let's just give it a try in our office. And he keeps pressing yes. Every time Grief Karga was trying to let him try it, he kept pressing yes. And every time Din was trying to be a good parent, a good dad, Grogu kept pressing no. Like, I'm not getting out. I will force push you out of here. I don't care, Dad. I want this robot. So basically, it takes a while for him to get used to maneuvering the robot, the android. They even are outside, and he just keeps pressing yes. To where, it's what you would expect a 5-year-old to do. Keep pressing a button, keep being annoying over something cool. Like, it's obviously cool, but you're draining the fun out of it. Seriously, stop. One of those type of things. And they stop by a fruit stand, so Grogu feels so emboldened now, being so big and strong inside this robot. He's just taking food off this cart and eating it like a madman. And Din is like, you gotta stop, and he's trying to pay the vendor before they get in trouble. And at one point, he takes kind of like a big fruit, like a melon type of fruit. And Din is like, give it back to me. And he just winds up squeezing it. And just as a spoiler, like, Look, I'm knocking myself out here. It was, I know some people might pick on that sequence between Grogu and Din with taking over the robot body, but I thought that was pretty hysterical. So there's that. And basically we go back to now the feast for the Mandos to try to get together and work together. And Bo-Katan convinces a group of Mandos to go with her to try to start scouting out the planet, trying to rein in people and settlers that may have taken over and retake the planet Mandalore. As all this is going on, we see Kane at the beginning of the episode traveling through the streets of Coruscant. It kind of reminded me of a Blade Runner type of vibe to it in the beginning sequences until she gets a hold of Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is not exactly believing that the Mandalorian tribes are gathering together, but he proceeds to enact a plan that will give him the upper hand by the end of the episode. He goes and he talks to this council. These are like really the early remnants of the First Order, the last bits of the Empire that are still clinging on to that galactic order that they had and are trying to do various things on each other's ends. There's about 6 or 7 people on this council, including Moff Gideon. And Moff Gideon is just basically like, when is... everyone is saying Thrawn. Well, when the hell is he making his way here? Because if he's not, then we need new leadership and stuff. So he's trying to get himself inside the position that Grand Admiral Thrawn had before he disappeared. He asks for supplies. Some are not willing to want to give him up, but eventually there's a consensus that they're going to hand over the supplies he's looking for, and hopefully that the plan he is putting together will, be successful. We now go back to Navarro, where the Mandalorians are gathering up, going back to Mandalore. Even the armorer goes. They come across a group of other Mandalorians that are there that are loyal to Bo-Katan, and they even decide to join the trek of going to where, if I'm trying to remember how they phrased it, basically the center of the capital, all right, and these Mandalorians that have been there decide to use their ship to bring them there. At one point, tensions arise between the two factions, and there's a duel that Grogu winds up breaking up because it was starting to get to where between Paz, Vizsla, and Axe, they would have wound up killing each other, and Grogu broke it up, even though technically they weren't. No one was supposed to break it up, but I think everyone has such great respect for Grogu that they're not going to, admonish him for breaking up this fight. We finally get to the center of where the Mandalorians are trying to get to. They think that things are starting to look up, but then they are attacked by initially who they think are Mandalorians, but we see are now just droids and Beskar armor, and someone is able to escape off to try to warn the armorer and other Mandalorians that are in the atmosphere that there was an ambush. At the same time, the armorer is bringing some injured Mandalorians back to the fleet above the orbit there. We find out exactly where Moff Gideon has been hiding, and it's here at Mandalore where he has been hiding this whole time, and what he's been doing, besides running the secret cabal that is still loyal to the Empire. He's been mining the Beskar metals to create super soldiers or super android soldiers that can't be easily destroyed. He has been taking everything that's best from every part of the galaxy and trying to combine it into one ultimate fighting weapon. The force powers of a Jedi, the Beskar armor of the Mandalorians, the strategic mindsets of this culture or that culture, the weaponry of this culture is what he's trying to do, Moff Gideon, into one superior fighting machine. And he winds up separating the Mandalorians from each other. He takes Din captive. He then asks for the Darksaber back from Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan promises him that they will stop meeting like this, and she's able to, with the help of Paz Vizsla, have the other Mandalorians escape, as she was able to cut an escape route out with the Darksaber. But near the end, doing what he felt was the best thing, Paz gives up his life for his fellow Mandalorians so they can escape. He laid his life down for Bo-Katan. Din Djarin even laid his loyalty down 100% earlier in the episode to Bo-Katan. I feel like there was a big misstep on how Bo-Katan gained the saber back. I feel like that she's never really been able to, never really given the chance to earn it. So I kind of feel like they did a lot of backdoor things so they wouldn't have to have Din and Bo-Katan fight, which was a little silly. If this was such a big time weapon to be used, why isn't Din having the same motivation to keep it as she is? Why didn't Axe challenge him for it last week? Bo-Katan could have challenged him in front of everyone and instead of fighting one of her own people, she could have just turned around to him and been like, I'm sorry, but I challenge you for the Darksaber and win. I just felt like she didn't earn it, but I hope that that can be bypassed a little bit, because the whole earning it by combat, that means Obi-Wan and Ahsoka could have had it at any point, and Palpatine. So there's really no true lineage like the Elden Ring and Harry Potter. Elden Wand. Sorry. And then at the end they escape. Paz passes away, getting taken down by Moff Gideon's forces as he was trying to protect the escape of the other Mandalorians. And that's where we end the episode. The first episode I felt all season that had real stakes and real consequences from those actions. We only got, I think, a couple episodes left, if that. We'll see how this season ends. I have not been big on this season. I feel like it's been too scattered. They're not really concentrating on the more interesting things, and then when they bring something interesting, they just leave it alone. I don't know. I feel like this has been a little too open and not as cohesive as the first two seasons were. And don't get me started on them even bringing Grogu back. I love Grogu as a character, but they should have never brought him back, and in the manner that they brought him back in. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I am but a simple Southern bird lawyer. I am just here giving my opinion. But that's pretty much where we're at. Some action, some impactful moments near the end, and we'll see if Moff Gideon's forces can blow up the fleet in orbit before they can be saved or warned. We'll see if any other Mandalorians get taken out in the meantime. We also find out that Bo-Katan didn't really lose the Darksaber to Moff Gideon in combat like that. She finally revealed that she handed it over to him under the guise of protecting her people, but he fooled her and lied and bombed Mandalore. That's why that happened. It wasn't that she necessarily lost her Darksaber. She thought by handing it over she would save her people, and yet she was complicit in the destruction of her home planet, and the guilt of that must be really driving her now to want to finish this off and take Moff out. We'll see if she gets to have the sweet slice of justice from the Darksaber that she deserves. You let me know how you've been thinking of the season down below. I feel like if this was going to be the Bo-Katan season, they could have just made her own show. But, I mean, it is what it is. As I'm just giving you my review and my thoughts of it. You let me know what you think. But until next time, peace, Nookums.